Raise it up.
Chat Pro.
Raise it up.
Chat Pro. Slow roll. Never fold.
Raise it up.
Chat Pro. Slow roll. Never fold.
Raise it up.
Chat Pro. Slow roll. Never fold. Slow roll. Never fold. Slow roll. Never fold.
Raise it up. Raise it up.
Chat Pro.
Hey guys, what's up? Alec Torelli here, joined by Nick Airball, hosts for the pregame show. We are going to be taking your questions here in the chat, so leave those in a comment below. We'll pick the best ones and answer them. I hope you enjoyed the strategy section. That was a lot of fun. It was really cool to have you here where we can actually talk. Oh, the strategy section, sorry guys, strategy section is coming up next. You're going to be here. We have a couple hands that you and I played last time on the stream that we're going to be talking about. And it's really cool to have you here because instead of me thinking like, oh, this is what Airball is doing and why, like you can just tell me like hey, this is what I was doing. And I can talk about the hands and it's be super interesting. So stay tuned for that. After that, 5 o'clock, we got the live stream coming up. Us playing the usual suspects, Mariano, Art, Mike X, Fora, Henry, the whole crew. That'll be a fun game. We're going to be battling a lot of action here tonight, I'm assuming. So we'll take some of your questions. Leave those in the chat below. What else, man? What's going on?
Nothing much. Another day in the life.
Another day in the life, that's right. Got to ask us in a couple hours. Right now, it's like the calm before the storm.
Yeah, we'll see how much blood there is.
Yeah. Sometimes it's the seats, sometimes it's the cards, sometimes it's the mood. A lot could change in 5 hours. I feel like 5 hours is like a good amount of time. Things start to get swinging, but it's like...
It's always better after the stream.
Exactly, you need like longer to get into the flow.
Like 12-hour stream.
Right, that would be really sick.
But it's just too brutal for the staff.
Yeah, it's so brutal. And then like you can't eat on the show either, and it's like, yeah, the lights and it's like a lot. But I feel like a real poker game, yeah, 8 hours would be really sick.
Longer the better.
Yeah, because you get to see all the adjustments and the pain, and like if someone's stuck and buried, like they can't just quit, you know? So, anyway, we'll take some questions. I'm excited for today's show. I'm excited for every show. Hope I get a good seat. I hope I run good. I hope I get aces to kings.
I hope I don't get kings to aces.
Fair enough. You always get aces. You're professional.
I am professional at getting good cards when I need them.
Yeah, that's an important skill to
I'm
have.
also a professional at punting.
Got to have a little of both. That's true.
I have a good balance.
Well, I haven't played with Fora, but I played with everybody else. Art's back. That'll be cool.
Yeah, so Fora, I played 5-10 with like once.
Right.
I don't, like, just nice guy.
Cool.
I'm excited for that. Art, I played with like a handful of times, like 50, 100 or bigger.
We played a lot back in the day on a live.
Yeah. I really like Art. I think he's like a super nice guy.
Yeah, very kind guy.
Fun to be around, so I'm excited to see him. I haven't seen him in forever.
Me
it feels
too.
like
I feel like
maybe
it's been
6 months.
I feel like it's been a lot longer for me. I think I've seen him, but I don't think we played together.
Yeah, I haven't played with him like 6 to 8 months, so
Right.
I'm excited for that. Who else? Henry. I love battling with Henry.
You guys have some epic battles.
Yeah.
Some shit talking, fun shit talking, but it's like,
shit-talking.
I feel like I'm waiting for like whichever, and it's gonna happen, but it's just like whichever one of you doubles through the other one.
He doubled through me last week.
Oh my god, I missed it.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
the first week I wasn't here.
He had top set, I had second pair.
Sometimes you get cooler.
I couldn't fold. So that was
Oh, I have to rewatch that hand. I've been
Yeah.
waiting for that moment.
That was disappointing, but I'm excited to battle with Henry. Who else? Mike X. I need revenge for last week. I gave him a lot of money.
Oh my gosh, what the hell? I take 1 week off, I missed everything? I gotta watch the stream.
I lost a lot of big pots last week.
Yeah, it wasn't your week.
No, I did okay, but like I ended up losing or winning small. I can't remember. But I went through like a 6 swing. Like I was up 80, then down like 140.
Oh my gosh.
And then I think I finished the stream down 30, and then
In 5 hours?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And then, yeah, so
I roller coastered it too, and we'll talk about some of the hands here coming up. I don't want to spoil it, but I roller coastered last stream too, where it's 6-figure swings. I mean,
I swung like
it's
400
51.
almost.
Yeah, it's 51, but it's like it's not 51 because
He's big, stacks are deep.
yeah, people are aggressive. There's certain spots where the money's going in. What else, Ryan? So we haven't seen the hand yet, though, right? Okay, so we're gonna talk about the hand after. We did, but the hand where you had a full house.
And Ben had quads?
No, against me, where I had a straight.
Oh, okay.
When I called the river, you kind of went like this. Were you thinking, and I don't care either way, like it's fine. Were you like just fucking with me and like you actually thought you had the nuts, or were you thinking,
yeah, slow roll.
Okay, you were slow roll. That's fair.
I was just trolling.
You were just trolling. No, that's fine. That sucks. Avi wants to know why from the chat.
For the lulz.
For the lulz. Yeah. Are you like, so was it like you wanted to slow roll me because like it was a big pot and you got me and I got you earlier in the night?
No.
You're just fucking.
Just like, oh, good time to slow roll.
Yeah,
like I've been punting a lot today. Like,
yeah, you were.
Don't think I'm punting again. It'll be funny.
And
like,
you punted to me earlier.
Yeah, so I was like, it's just like I like a good slow roll.
He has it
like,
coming.
Yeah, not malicious. I like a good slow roll.
Yeah.
Like, early in the session that day, I gave Key one. That one was fun.
You gave me one.
Yeah, I was just in the mood to slow roll that day. I mean,
I have to say, when I called and you threw up your hand, I was like, I thought when I was thinking on the river, like, there's some of the time I call and you just have a boat and that sucks.
Yeah.
And there's some of the time where I call and you're like that. And so when I call and you do that, I'm like, fuck, that's so great. He's bluffing, right? Like he doesn't have me beat because like I have a straight, and so all the hands that you're gonna do that with are not good. And so I turn over my cards and then you show me the boat. It was a little that hurt.
Disheartening.
It's a little disheartening. Especially because like you call 2x pot on the river, the pot's like 80,000.
That's why it's more enjoyable to do.
It's not fun if you do that and the pot's like 4K or 5. Like you have to wait for the moment.
Exactly.
No, you got me there. That was good. Well done.
I thought it was fun.
Nice hand. Okay, so your favorite, we were talking about this earlier, your favorite drink while playing. Not today, but like in general.
Diet Coke.
Diet Coke, yeah. Like, dude, last time I was on the stream, we moved seats because we did the Win the Button game, and like there were like 2 32-ounce like Diet Cokes with ice.
I drink a lot of liquids, and like I love the sensation of the fizziness. I don't know why, I just love it. And so I will pound the fucking Diet Cokes and sparkling water.
You like sparkling water?
At home,
do kombucha? Do you do
I drink at home. I drink like only sparkling water, and then when I'm out, I'll drink soda.
Diet Coke.
That's how I kind of limit myself from drinking too much soda.
Right.
Like,
if you don't do it at home, it's hard to.
So I'm like, whatever. I'm not like really out at anywhere besides the casino where I would drink it or dinner. So like,
yeah, you have to be somewhere where you can order it. So,
right.
Yeah.
So like,
it's
not
like
that
damage
often.
control. Not.
So like, that's how I control myself because I used to be like a Diet Coke degen. So.
Fair enough. Yep. Good one. I like room temp water. We were just talking about this. You like cold water. I like room temp water. And then my green juice, man, that's my go-to. I just ordered one from, I forgot the name, Robex or something. I got a green juice. I'm excited about that. I love that stuff.
What else does the chat have?
What else does the chat have for us?
What do they want to know?
Drop your questions.
We'll answer.
Oh, this is a good one. So we can do tonight. Okay. We'll do a 2-part question.
Okay.
So your favorite player to stack in tonight's lineup and just in general. Like who's don't tell me who's getting the slow roll because it's gonna you can tell me because like
the slow roll is opportunistic.
It's in the moment. It's in the moment.
Who do I want to stack tonight?
I have my guess.
Henry,
yeah, that has to be Henry. Especially because he got you last week.
I doubled him up last week.
Right. And was it a full double 100K?
Yeah. It was no, it was more than 100K.
Like 100K each.
More.
Wow. You guys have been waiting for that moment.
It was like
for
240
months.
pot, maybe.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so Henry's the obvious answer. What about on like, full spectrum?
I want revenge against Ben.
Okay, from the post-stream hand.
From the 850, yeah. I have to get revenge.
Cool. Okay, can I ask you a question? When he shoves the river, did you tank or did you insta-call?
So like, the way the action went, it was we were playing 3-handed, 2-4-4.
Right.
I opened the button. He defends the big blind.
You open 1,000.
Yeah.
He calls the big blind.
Yeah, I don't remember all the sizes exactly.
Right.
Flop is queen 3-3. I have kings. He checks. I bet like maybe 1,000 again. He calls. So there's like 4K-ish in there.
Right.
Turn is a 5. He checks.
Rainbow.
I think I bet like 2,500, like half pot. I was just trying to keep him in.
Right, of course.
He calls. So there's like 10K in there. And the river's the miracle king in my head.
Of course.
And he checks, and I just thought he had like a queen at best a lot. So I bet 5K to 10K. He gave like a speech to me and then made it 50K.
Wow.
So I was like pretty sure he was strong at that point.
And you think he has a 3?
I mean, I'm praying he has fucking fives.
Right, right.
I don't give a fuck. I'm just like happy.
Yeah,
you know?
the
Like,
nuts.
I'm like, how much money can I get?
Right.
And me and Ben, like, we have a dynamic and we have played a lot of hands. So I make it 250 on the river, which is like a really big raise, but like I think he'll pay it with like.
It's really hard to fold a 3 or a boat. Like queen 3,
again,
maybe, or
like
3-5.
Yeah, like whatever, exactly. So I make it 250, and he like snap jams, and I didn't make it 250 to fold. Like I was trying to I considered just ripping it over the 50K for 400. Like I was like, how can I get as much money as possible, right? And so on the river when he shoved, like I didn't even like I probably should stop and think because 150K more and like there's no bluffs and whatever, and I probably still pay, but whatever, it doesn't matter. Like I should just like, as a poker player, take a second before I make a $150,000 decision in a $1 million pot.
I don't think anyone's ever folding in that
being
moment,
said,
though.
I literally just like threw the chips in, turned my hand over, like
send me the money.
Like as fast as I could, not wanting to slow roll him, and then he showed me quads. Like it was like that. Like
that would have been the spot to slow.
It was like
that's obviously
the moment he said no. The moment he said all in, I was like that, and just turned my hand over, and then he showed me quads. Like it was literally just like that. And like
so sick that wasn't on camera. That would have been just such an iconic. I mean,
it was just so tilting. It was like right after the hand, like Ryan is like down there, and everyone's like freaking out, and he comes up and he's like, "Oh, you guys are trolling me. That's not real." As I'm paying off $400,000 on the river.
Wow.
And then like someone else came in and they're like, "There's no way. This is not real. You guys are making this up." And I'm like literally just sitting there after losing $850,000, and they're like, people are telling me it's fake.
Right.
And I'm like, well, how do I get the money back?
Fake.
Yeah. Like, where do I get the money back? You know. So I mean, fuck. That hand was just like annoying. It was just like one of those things where I was just like,
yeah,
because
if no king comes on the river, you just bet 5K.
Not even that. Like it's just like
and you lose like 40K.
It's just like we were 3-handed. The game could have broken like 5 seconds before. Only me and Ben are sitting 400K plus deep. Like, it's just like
so many things had to go wrong.
Yeah, like it was just like a million like dominoes like happened to hit each other for me to lose that pot. That being said, like it's not like whatever. Like Ben was gracious enough to. So after the hand happened, I was just like, I'm done. Like whatever. Like stupid. Whatever.
I don't blame you.
I quit, kind of thing. Because like so it was me, Dentist Dave, and Ben. And the moment the hand happened, Dentist Dave had said like I'll play like another hour. That hand happened. He's like I'm fucking done. Like he's like I want no fucking part of this shit. Like like the moment the hand happened, he was just like I'm out of here. And like as we're paying it off, he's like getting the fuck out. Like he's just like it's too much blood. And so then I was like, I'm done, like, that whole Ben. And Ben was like, no, like, let's play heads up. And so I was like, okay. And, like, he gave me some heads up action. So, like, that was nice. Like, I won a little bit back, which was, like, it just feels good, you know, not that it made, like, that much of a dent.
But it's
like,
less, you're not demoralized.
Tilting,
yeah.
Then, like, luckily, then the next day I went to the lodge and I had, like, a reasonable session there. So, like, luckily it wasn't.
These games.
Yeah, well, it's just, like, a big swing and it's annoying, but it wasn't ended up being that big of a deal. Like a lot of people that were like, "Oh, you're never gonna play again." I'm like, dude, this is like one pot. Like it's fine. So.
I think some people don't realize too when it comes to variance, like
it was only 400K you lost in that hand. Like it's not.
No, but
that's like not a big swing for like these games.
Right, but the other point I was making is like that hand is agnostic to your stack depth. Like, and that variance could have happened with you and someone else with 20K.
Yeah,
and so, like,
that's why it's annoying.
For that to even out over the long term is just like. Those things don't. I mean, I'm not trying to rub it in, but those things don't like really. They're not all created equal because if you get that hand against someone with 20K versus 400, you get stacked anyway, or he stacks you. But it's like
it's okay.
The way
I see it is
only against you two they're covering each other. Right?
It's even now. I got button clicker for 840.
Okay.
Or 870. Ben got me for 840.
Right.
In the same size game.
Yeah, and at least button clicker, you know, for you was deep enough that it
covers it. Covers the bill.
Right. Exactly.
Covers the bill.
Covered the bill.
But yeah, I mean that hand sucked.
That hand's sick.
But I mean,
there's a few hands you're always gonna remember.
I will say that if I'm gonna lose that pot to someone on Hustler who's gonna be sitting deep, like Ben is one of the people that I'm happy to lose it to.
Cool.
Ben, JR, Charles, guys who I play with all the time.
And they're like
give a lot of action.
They're giving a lot of action.
Yeah,
they're gonna play again. They're gonna keep it in the poker world.
Exactly. Like I don't feel
it's not locked up.
Yeah, I don't feel any type of way. Like I was the one who wanted to quit, and Ben was like, "No, let's play heads up." Like he wanted to give me some action, give me a chance.
That just shows you that like it's
whatever.
in play.
Like, yeah, like
that's cool of Ben.
Yeah, so I just like it's just an annoying hand to lose.
Yeah, like
although at this time it's already kind of just like funny.
Yeah,
like, it's
that's
just like
great.
pretty funny to have had kings full and like lose the quads for 800,000 and like you're fine the next day. Like it's funny, you know.
Yeah, poker. That's a great attitude. That's a cool story. Thanks for sharing. Taking another question. Okay, so this is maybe a loaded question, but
It's fine.
What is something you've learned about the other person or admire about the other person from watching each other play?
Who's the other person?
Me and you.
Oh.
I'll go first. You can think, because my answer is pretty. I would talk about this a little bit more later, but I think I was very impressed by your fearlessness at the table, and I think a lot of people. It's easy to not easy, but it's a lot. There's a big difference between knowing, that you should be aggressive in a certain spot, or knowing that you should bluff here, or knowing that it would make you harder to play against if you played a hand a certain way, or you should attack here. But not many people have the balls to consistently pull the trigger. And what I've seen from you, we've played a lot together now here and elsewhere, is that you're willing to put people to the test when you think it's the right play, and you're willing to be wrong, and you're willing to die on the hill. But if you're just fearless at the table, and that gear that you have makes it very hard to play against. Whereas other people, they might know that it's the right move, but they might make it 1 out of 5. Whereas you're just making it 5 out of 5. And that makes you a lot tougher than a lot of other players. So I really admire that about you.
Did you watch the stream last night? Wesley played?
I didn't.
So
I didn't see it.
So everyone watching will probably watch. Wesley played last night, and he went for a big bluff against Jeremy, where the board was had ace king king on it, and he was the pre-flop aggressor. So he was whatever, I can have all the boats, and Jeremy had a king.
Okay.
And on the river, Jeremy bet, and Wesley just stuffed it on him. It was a huge pot, 90K, whatever, right? And so Wesley texted me after the stream. Me and Wesley talk all the time, and he was he was oh, I'm so happy with how I played today, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm oh, nice, I'm glad you booked a win, congrats. And he's no, I lost. And then he said a bunch of laughing emojis. He's but I gave a lot of good tests. And he said, I watched them all fail except for Jeremy, and I was proud of him.
Yeah.
And I just was yes, Wesley, give them tests.
Yeah, I feel in poker, I feel the best when I feel bad when I feel like I should have made a play and I didn't do it. Mm-hmm. And I feel really good when I'm you know what? I played baseball as a kid. I was never great. But my dad, my coach, everyone's if you're going to strike out, swing the fucking bat, because at least you can hit a home run. Mm-hmm. And so in poker, if you're putting someone to the test for all of it, and you think it's a good spot, and you put it in, and they just happen to have the nuts, or they make an amazing call and they outplay you or whatever, fine. But I I like being the one swinging. I think that's an important thing in poker. You're always willing to swing. And you obviously pick your spots well too, so that's strategic. It's one thing to always swing when you're just firing blindly, and that's okay, blind aggression, but.
And then, so for me to answer the question, I think it's admirable how nice you are to everyone, given how mean people have been to you.
Thank you.
So I think that's pretty admirable.
Thank you. That's a very kind.
Given everything that's happened and the shit you had to deal with, you're very nice to everyone, which is can be hard to do after people have consistently been mean to you.
Yeah.
So I think that's admirable.
Thank you. I think I really appreciate that. That means a lot. I think kindness is free, and it's I always I try and do that. So thank you for that. That means a lot.
Yeah.
Cool question by someone in the chat, by the way. That's a very deep question. So very cool. We'll take a few more. What time is it? How long do we have?
10 minutes.
Yeah, we got 10 minutes, so we got to talk about the lineup. Maybe we take one more question and then we talk about the lineup? Okay. Okay, yeah, I think they asked this with Mariano and I. This was a fun answer. Do you listen to music before you play? If so, what's on your playlist?
I don't listen to any music, really.
Not at all, or not before you play to get pumped up for the
I'll
game?
never listen on my own. Only if I'm with someone in the car.
Not even at the gym, not even, wow, okay.
Not a music guy.
Wow, okay, fair enough.
Yeah. I mean, we played here a couple Saturdays off stream, with Mariano, and he'll turn on music, and I enjoy it.
Right.
But if I'm alone, I'll never.
So
have
more of
music
a social thing.
Yeah. I enjoy it when it's on, we're out or whatever, but I'm never gonna put it on.
Okay, so music doesn't get you fired up.
Yeah.
Is there something you do that is a pregame thing, not necessarily pregame, but the equivalent of music, type of thing?
I just roll out of bed and I'm let's fucking battle.
You're always ready, dude.
I'm just let's battle.
Yeah, the game itself is enough to get me fired up.
I'm just excited for the action. I'm excited that people are gonna Henry's gonna buy in 100, Mario's gonna buy in 100.
Yeah.
We're gonna play. It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting spots in battle.
Yeah, I like it. I like to play.
I'll be quick. I guess my playlist really varies. I have a lot of different things, but definitely listening to some sort of upbeat, energizing rock music or something that I grew up with or whatever at the gym before I play is always inspiring. Even if I do it on a day I don't play poker, I just like being in that.
I try to calm down before I play, not get excited.
You're already probably, I guess it depends.
I try to I'm like, breathe. Don't go in too excited to play. Like, don't re-raise the first hand. Like, breathe. That's how I try to come in.
Yeah, I think, that's a good point too. I think it depends on my energy of the day too.
I do play in this one game. It's a Chinese game, and the one of like the very like action players loves to listen to music while we play, but only classical music.
Wow.
And I've discovered that when I'm on tilt, classical music takes me off tilt.
Yeah.
And so I've been really enjoying classical music
So it's
lately.
on for everyone to hear. He doesn't have headphones.
No.
Okay.
That's what's played like at the home game. It's
Wow,
classical
that's
music.
interesting.
Yeah.
I've never heard classical play at a home game.
We're playing like 1K, 2K, and like it's like you know
Beethoven
Mozart in the
fucking,
background,
like,
and he's literally singing there. He's sitting there just like this, like at the table. It's fucking awesome. So I like classical music. I've discovered.
Yeah, classical music is apparently very good for like concentrating and studying,
Yeah,
like raising your
that makes
energy,
sense.
and I listen to it in the morning when I'm writing. Like it's just
Nice.
a very good like transient flow. Okay, maybe our last question. If you could play anyone heads up on stream, who would it be? Is there anyone you wouldn't play? Maybe I'm gonna ask a second question.
Yeah, I wouldn't play anyone who's a known cheater.
Okay, that's fair.
So like,
That's obvious.
like some of the Vegas guys who are like banned from the Poker Go stuff. Like I just wouldn't play them because I don't think they deserve to get the chance to play.
Okay.
Other than that, I'd play anyone. I'm looking forward, hopefully, to playing Berkey
Yeah.
and felting him for the rest of his role and all of his friends. I'll play. So here's the deal. I'll play anyone. Has to be. I have a couple conditions. Although the conditions don't require for Berkey because he's so bad. I just want the free money. I'll play anyone. Like I'll play any of the pros. It has to be 500 1K or bigger. 500K min. And
500K at one time or 500K bankroll?
No. We're buying.
500K
We're playing
on the
500
table.
BB deep.
Okay,
Yeah,
500
So we're
BB
playing
deep, yeah.
deep, so I can make art.
Right.
And they have to have all their own action.
Okay.
And I'll play. You want to come play? Come play. I'll
Yeah,
be here.
fair
No
enough.
problem. Those are my conditions.
So is there someone on the list that's like you have your preference?
I welcome all challenges.
Okay, wow, this is an open challenge.
Sure, yeah, anyone can
Okay.
play.
That's sick.
But no one will because
Right.
they're all scared and no one has the
It's
balls.
gonna be tough.
And I'll play all my
High
own money, just like that's why I want them to play all their own money.
Yeah.
So that I can put them to the test for the 500K.
Except Berkey, you
Yeah,
don't
Berkey's
care.
exception because like if someone wants to give you free money, like you can't say no. Like
Oh my gosh, I gotta watch this.
you
stream.
know, like that's just free. And like he's so bad at poker, he's a scammer, he's a dick. Like he's just like every negative word in the book. So
Wow.
fuck
Okay,
that
well
guy.
you heard it here.
He's the only one I would take pleasure in felting him for his bankroll. Everyone else, I'd feel like, damn man, like I'm sorry for you. But him,
But you had it coming because
I'll be like, get on your bike, go back to being homeless, go back to doing your shitty podcast. Like, get the fuck out of poker. Like, leave me alone. Like,
Oh my
that's
gosh.
how I feel about Berkey.
When is your match?
Whenever he's ready, he's scared. I think he lost a lot of money last time he was playing on some streams, and so he might be like low key busted.
Okay,
or something.
I don't follow
know.
what's going on, but that's
I don't know.
interesting.
Whenever he can get some money together, but I'm not. I mean, maybe for him, I'd make an exception and play a little smaller, just because like the whole free money thing.
Because then you get it. It sounds
Yeah,
like you
like-
really want to get that.
Right. Like I
Berkey
really
action.
want the money.
Yeah, so
from
you'll
him.
make an exception.
So I might make an
3-6,
exception, but for
2-4.
anyone else, 501K, just like otherwise-
500K min.
Yeah, it's just not like that interesting otherwise.
Yeah, and buying in deep obviously.
Yeah,
is
and I think,
very
like-
interesting game.
I don't think anyone will come play me because everyone knows that it's not a good spot for them.
Very interesting. Well, you heard it here. All right, guys, we got the game coming up. We got the strategy section coming up. We're going to talk about hands that we played together on the stream a few weeks ago. That'll be super interesting. We got the lineup coming up. Let's analyze it really quick. Hold on here. Okay, so we got Mike X,
Awesome.
me, you,
Awesome.
Henry, Ishan, Brown Bala, Mariano, Art, and Fora.
Yeah, I expect to see-
Eight-handed today,
I
right?
expect
Not
to see
nine-handed.
a lot of 3-bet pots.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I think there'll be a lot of 3-bet pots, a lot of 4-bet pots.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to be battling. Like,
And I think
it's just like one of those lineups where like no one is, and everyone's very comfortable with the stakes. Like,
yeah, and I think
it's just
everyone's
gonna
like,
be like a
has
battle.
played a lot here and has played a lot against the other players.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be really like fun. I think it's going to be interesting, fun poker. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's not probably not going to be like the most like wild
Splashy,
thing ever.
wild,
Like,
but like strategically
yeah,
interesting.
like, I'm personally gonna like probably try to play a little bit tighter than like maybe I did the last few weeks.
Yeah, maybe
like,
you have to
there's,
because
like,
everyone
some
else
really good
is
players I think
solid,
here. Like,
right.
I think Art's probably like one of the best players. Like that's been a hustler, and like Mariano plays well, and
Yeah,
Henry, and
for
so
sure.
like I think it's gonna be a tougher lineup. But I also think there'll be a lot of like really interesting 3 and 4-bet pots and like some serious battling
Some
happening.
serious battling, some interesting spots.
Yeah.
And I'm looking
I know,
forward to it too.
I know Shaun is coming for revenge against Mariano because Mariano has stacked Shaun like a million times.
Oh my gosh. Poor Shaun. I feel like he's been at the wrong end of this like too many times.
Last thing, we'll let them go. So before I went to Texas to play at the Lodge, the Thursday before that, I played my 25-50 PLO here that I host.
Okay.
So and Shaun comes and plays with me every week, and he loses 65,000 in the 25-50 PLO, and he's like very tilted. And then he comes to Texas with me, and I'm playing like 4,800 or whatever. Right. And his seat opens up after like 11 hours. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to jump in. Give me 100K. And I just like ripped this 100K and like gave it to him. But he ended up winning, so I was very happy.
Awesome. He deserves it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
such a nice guy, and he's been getting crushed.
He's always in a good mood. Even if he
always
gets
getting crushed.
life buried, he's always in 100, like 20 at a time.
He's
in 100, like every time. I'm like, well, how does
the first time I think you played with him, was it at that other place?
Right.
So the first time
here.
Yeah, the first time Alec played with Shaun, I brought Shaun to like a private game. It was like a really good game or whatever. Alec's there, and Shaun's like up 100 right away, and everyone's like, "Why the fuck did you bring this guy, Nick? Like he's super good." And I was just like, "He's gonna lose," and everyone's like, "There's no way. Like he's up 100K. It's like 50-100. Like he's just never gonna lose." He finished down 100K.
Yeah, his specialty's being in 100, and I don't even know how he does it. It's just like
it just happens.
It just happens.
It just happens.
It's so weird. It is really weird. I feel like variance is not kind to everyone. Oh my gosh. Well, we'll have a good lineup for you guys today. Stay tuned. We got the strategy section. We got the game coming at 5. Strategy section after this. Hang tight, guys. Thanks for being here.
That was fun.
That was fun, man. Good job. Yep.
Chat pro,
Ryan?
slow roll, never fold.
Raise it up.
Chat pro, slow roll, never fold.
Raise it up.
Chat pro, slow roll, never fold. Slow roll, never fold. Slow roll, never fold.
Raise it up. Raise it up.
Chat pro. Chat pro, slow roll, never fold.
Raise it up.
Chat pro, slow roll, never fold.
Raise it up.
Yeah.
Chat pro,
By the way, the chat we do after
never
this.
fold. Slow roll, never fold. Slow roll, never fold.
Raise it up.
The chat we do after this.
Raise it up.
This is recorded for after. Yeah.
Chat
You
pro.
got it. Yeah. Hey guys, what's up? Alec Torelli here, joined with Airball. We're doing the pregame show for you guys today. We're gonna break down some interesting hands played from the last stream. 2 of them we played together, so that'll be fun.
Cool.
It's not always that we get to hear both sides of the spectrum, so we'll be doing that for you guys today. Got a show coming up after this. Got the usual suspects, some new people as well. Stay tuned for the end of this. We'll talk about the lineup as well. But for now, let's dive into some of the hands from last week or a couple weeks ago on my latest stream with Airball. Cool. So Airball in this hand is going to be Shaun, who's the villain. I guess my villain, but he's going to be talking as what Shaun is thinking, because you guys talk poker quite a bit. Yep.
How do I run so bad?
I'll just kind of like, it's probably the smallest I'll let it run.
You'll win the big ones.
You're not so good that you lost that kind of that root of
Right, the smallest stack, right? The smallest stack.
How do I run so bad?
It's also like the smallest
I remember it
game,
from the
so it's
second
like,
perspective.
Oh yeah. When I was you were a lot smaller. I think I make free raise here to like 3,600 or something. Okay, so if Shaun makes it 1,100, there's a raise and a re-raise. I'm out of position with jacks, so I'm thinking like my hand's a little bit better with the lead, and I don't really want to call and be out of position against 2 people and then have Mars call, or me just call and then Mars re-raise again. So I think my hand's like, you know, I'm raising here because I think I have the best hand. Like I think jacks is going to be ahead quite a bit in this spot, but you know, if I make it 3,600 and then Mars jams or something, then I just have a pretty easy fold because I have two people behind. Mars in the hand, and then Shaun in the hand as well. So my plan is just to play my hand here for value pre-flop. I think it's a good hand, a good spot. I make it 3,600, and let's continue.
This is a big game for me.
He only lost 15,000, not like Francisco lost like 270,000 one hand. That's just winning in like 5 years.
Not bad.
Yesterday, yeah, did he
That's
call
just
you?
winning in 5 years, losing one hand.
In one hand yesterday, Francisco.
No, and last Friday he got in
Aces versus tens.
aces versus tens for
Can't hear more
550K
than I have no
pot.
idea
He
where
got
they are.
2 outers on the 36.
Torelli won a big pot with Ace King versus Jacks. Now he's on the other side of it. He's got Jacks versus the Ace King. 4-bet here from Torelli. Brown ball makes the call.
We should talk about
There's an ace and a jack.
I don't know what
Oh, wow. Torelli living a charmed
I
life.
wanted to hear your commentary on it, but I can't hear Ryan. And I
Won
don't
both
know if I can
runouts
hear
with
the
those
screen.
with the Ace King versus the Jacks, and this time he's going to win himself a nice
I don't
pot.
know if you guys can hear me either.
Maybe his Jacks holds.
We're pausing, they might be able to see us.
Yeah, Ryan, what's happening? I can't hear you.
So Torelli 4-bet pre. And Brown Balla made the call. Brown Balla's got 28,000 behind and is raised right away.
Okay. All right, so let's
Two diamonds out there.
for 1 second.
Comes here every week and like clowns someone.
So Balla has raised right away. Action back over to Torelli.
Okay, so they paused it after I bet, and he makes it 5K.
Okay, we can talk about it all.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So, what are you thinking here? I think my re-raise pre-flop's pretty standard. Is Shaun with Ace King could maybe raise again?
Yeah, I think like he could raise or call. I think both are fine.
Yeah.
I think the only bad idea is fold.
Yeah, that's
So,
true.
You know, I think in his, I think the decision between raise and fold probably like falls into like the game dynamics a little bit and how he's feeling and stuff. So I don't remember that, but I think both are fine, and so it seems normal going to the flop.
Yeah, and I think it also stack sizes matter too, right? Like
Yeah,
if I
you do.
have, you know, we're pretty deep here. So if we have 30K, I cover him, but he has 30K. So if I had like 15K, I think it's just much more likely to be a jam because then it's like
Yeah.
you're just kind of all
Sure,
in and
yeah.
whatever.
Less
but
playability.
the deeper we are, I think the more that calling makes some sense too. And like you said, it's kind of a game dynamic thing. So he opts to call. I think that's pretty fine. Totally fine. One of the two options. Obviously, folding is the wrong. Just don't fold. On the flop, I come out betting 2K here, which I think, like, you know, 4-bet pots, the types of hands people have is very different than like a single raised pot or a 3-bet pot. So on this board, when I come out betting, I'm basically betting, you know, I'm betting some ace queens, I'm betting some ace kings, some sets. And then, yeah, I have some bluffs, but like the types of hands that I come out 4-betting with to begin with and he's calling with are, you know, very different than what you'd see in a single raised pot. So that changes the dynamic of the hand a lot because it changes the types of hands people can have. But I come out betting here 2K, which I didn't want to give too much away with my sizing. I just think I'm betting 2K here like most of the time with all the types of hands I have, some ace kings, some bluffs. You know, maybe I have like, you know, some flush draws or some gut shots with like king 10 suited or something like that. He makes it 5K. What do you think? Think it's unconventional? Kind of.
I think when he makes it 5K, like he has to stack off now.
Yeah.
Like he commits himself. Personally, I don't think I ever find a raise here to 5K, but I think it's not. I mean, he has ace king and a 4-bet pot and an ace high board. It just like,
Right.
can't be that bad.
Yeah, and he has no diamonds, so maybe like more likely I have some diamonds. It's
I mean,
also
it's like pretty hard for him to be beat. In fairness,
Right, it is
It's
hard.
like if he's beat, it's a big cooler.
right. If he's beat, it's I have aces. And,
Or ace jack or jacks.
Right, exactly. Or ace 4. Maybe I 4-bet.
Yeah,
ace
maybe
4.
ace 4.
Right. So it's hard to be beat. And so here it kind of looks like, oh, he's putting it in, drawing dead. But like a lot of times I'm going to have kings, and then he's going to get value.
Yeah, or you
ace
could have
queen.
ace queen, yeah.
Ace queen or ace 10 maybe or something like that.
The only issue is like with his raise, in my opinion, is that in a 4-bet pot, you're gonna have less ace queen than you are like kings, queens, and kings, queens, and tens, which are just gonna like fold. And I don't even know if you bet those on the flop.
Right. That's a good
So like
observation.
it's a question of like, is there that much value for him to get when he raises?
Right. That's true. And it's also like, in a weird way, he kind of, like, from my point of view, it's hard for me to put him on ace king because he just
Yeah, of
calls.
course.
So it's like you're not, you know, in my spot, you're not necessarily thinking your opponent has ace king here because you're like, well, ace king's usually a hand that raises pre and goes raises again. So when he raises here, he kind of under-repped his hand pre-flop, and now he's raising for value. So like you kind of have to stack off. Like it's just one of those spots where he decided, hey, I want to get value from Alec if Alec has all these other types of hands.
I think like even like if he didn't raise, on most runouts he has to stack off. Like if a low diamond comes in, I think he still has to stack off. Like I don't think there's a lot of runouts you can get away from it.
Yeah.
You're just like,
if the turn's a deuce of spades,
or like a deuce of diamonds, even
I'm
like,
gonna bet again.
If you had ace king with like the king of diamonds, like you would always continue to value bet your hand.
Right, because again, I don't put him on ace king. He looks like he has ace queen.
Yeah, and like if I had ace queen here, like on the turn it was like a diamond or whatever, I would just fucking bomb it. I'd be like, whatever, like it's a free roll. Like he probably has the same hand or worse. You know? So I think he's definitely coolered here. It's just a question of how does the money go in? So I think that's kind of the question.
Yeah, and it's one of those spots in poker, like sometimes the money would have gone in regardless, but it matters how you get the money in because like your opponent's not, or both players aren't going to always have the types of hands that they have in this exact spot. So like you mentioned, is raising better to get, like if I have queens, I'm just going to fold, and so maybe ace king might benefit from flatting to like trap me if I'm bluffing, right? Like if I'm bluffing with king 10, I'm drawing to 4 outs. Like ace king is a great defending hand. So, okay, he makes it 5K, back on me. At this point, I thought about ace king, but I'm not, for the reasons we talked about pre-flop, I'm not really thinking ace king here all the time. I'm not thinking 3 aces. What types of like in my spot? I'm thinking like maybe he has some draws, maybe some ace queens.
Well, you don't have the jack of diamonds, so jack x of diamonds makes a lot of sense. So like queen jack of diamonds, king jack of diamonds, jack 10 of diamonds, jack 9 of diamonds. Those all make a lot of sense.
Totally. Or even king queen of diamonds, king 10 of diamonds.
I'm just thinking specifically with your hand.
Right, exactly.
With your jacks that you have. So you unblock all the jack x of diamonds, which would probably play as raises sometimes, and then he would probably raise like the king 10, king queen of diamonds, and then he definitely would raise like ace 4 or ace jack. So and then like I don't think he has 4s. He could have jacks, but you have jacks.
Right. He could have aces.
He could have aces.
He could have just flatted my raise pre with aces.
I definitely think playing off of a 30K stack, he would be very comfortable flatting you with aces.
Right. Like if we had 100K, I think he might put in another raise with aces because he doesn't want.
I think if you had 100K, he's gonna.
Because he doesn't want me to see the flop for free.
Well, also he just like wants to get more value, and it's hard to get the money in. But with 30K, he's just like, I'll trap you, and I can still get the money in by the river.
And then I'll stack you post flop.
Yeah, because going to the flop, you had what 7.7 in there, and he had 28K, so 4 pots. Like it's not that hard to get the money in with 4 pots.
That's why I think these stack sizes matter so much when you start to think break through a hand.
His exact hand probably just. I mean, what he's thinking here, I think, is he wants to protect his hand a little bit, and so he just goes for a small raise because he thinks he has the best hand a lot.
Yeah.
Which I think is fine, but I think I would just play his hand as like a call down and like
trap my bluffs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I would kind of just see it as like, I would just not be too scared and just be like, you could just have ace king for value. So like no matter what, I can just always call you down.
Always call even every turn.
Yeah, like even if it comes like diamond and like a straightening card, like a diamond and then a 10, like I can still call you down and be like, you could have ace king for value, try to target ace queen. So like I think like it's his hand plays, I think, personally better as a bluff catcher, but I think it's fine also to raise small.
Yep. And my spot facing a raise here, I think it's one of those spots where like if he was a lot deeper, like if we both had like 80K, I might be going raising again on the flop to like 15K because you want to build the pot. And if he does have like a jack with a diamond or king X of diamonds with like a straight draw and a combo draw, he has 12 outs. I don't want to let that hand draw cheaply and then be out of position, and then I call the flop, and then the turn goes check, check, and he realizes all of that equity for free. So I think because we're shorter, I didn't mind playing my hand as a call, but if we were like 70K deep here, I'd want to raise again.
Yeah, it does kind of suck when you call 3K and then the turn goes check, check.
Yeah, that sucks a lot. It sucks a lot more when you're a lot deeper, but yeah, it does suck even this shallow.
I kind of think you can just stuff it here. I mean, like it's a 4-bet pot. You have jacks, like
just make it like 15K.
Or just put the money in.
Just stick it all in.
Yeah, whatever. Like, you don't have aces. Like, if you had aces, I would say, like, call. Like, it's just like, but when you have jacks, like, he can just have an ace and, like, be like, fuck, I have to stack off now. You know
exactly.
I mean? Like,
Jacks is a kind of good hand to have for me because it's more likely he has an ace because I have all the jacks and I don't have any of the aces.
Yeah.
So that's probably a good hand to 3-bet. I was also thinking at the time, like, if I did have a weak ace or, like, queens or kings, I'd want to be calling here. So I was thinking of like protecting that sort of thing.
Maybe you don't want to say it, but do you see bet all the time on this board in the 4-bet pot as the 4-better out of position?
No, you're going to check some kings and queens.
Right.
You're also
So,
going to check some aces here too.
Yeah, so I mean,
you're going to be balanced with both.
Right. So do you really need to continue with queens and kings versus a raise here?
Yeah, that's fair.
Probably not.
Especially
right?
in a 4-bet pot, you're not getting raised that often.
So I think
people under raise this.
Like I don't think there's a lot of bluffs here in his positions that aren't like high equity bluffs.
Yeah, which is probably a good case for me to
Just
3-bet.
just put the money in.
To not risk like a diamond, like even if he has ace king, if a diamond comes and it goes check check, it's really bad.
It could
for me.
scare him. Yeah,
it could scare him, and then another diamond could come, or like a 10.
Or I mean, like he could have ace king, and the turn could be like a 10 or a 5 or a deuce or a 3, and he could just be like, I'm gonna pot control against aces up. You know what I mean? Like ace 10, ace deuce, ace 3, ace 5.
So let's play the tape, see what happens, and then we'll talk about it. Yep. Fair points.
14,700 in the pot. It's 3,000 to call.
Raise seems fine though. Thanks for the raise.
We have had cooler after cooler, and this is certainly one of those. In a 4-bet pot, you flop top pair with ace king, and your opponent's got a set.
I don't know if he's playing.
Torelli makes the call. 17-7 in the pot. Here's the turn. No diamonds. It's going to be tough for Brown Baller to get away from this one.
6,000.
So after raising the 5,000 on the flop, he bet 6,000.
That's a really bad card for him.
Kind of setting up a river jam.
Like if I think if I was in his shoes, I would check this back.
Okay, so Ishan, we paused after Ishan bets the turn. So what do you think about Ishan's bet here on this turn?
I mean, he's playing for stacks.
Yeah, like at this point, he's going for value. He's thinking I have like kings or queens or like
ace queen. I don't think he thinks I don't think he's trying to get value from kings or
right,
queens.
because that hand's gonna fold. Even if I did call the flop with kings, like at this point now I'm folding.
I think he probably regrets this turn action now.
Because he gets a lot more action from my like ace jack, aces and jacks than he does
I think he just gets action from action from aces up always. Sometimes ace king, and then rarely ace queen. Like I think ace queen you might even fold here.
Right.
It's just like, I mean, like, are people really going for it with bluffs here? Like, if you have ace queen, right? Like, if he has ace x of hearts, he's not going to bluff it off because he has an ace and a flush draw, so he doesn't need to
Or jack x of diamonds is now probably checking.
Yeah, because now
it's like
it has showdown value.
It's showdown
like,
value, and the turn comes, so your hand is a lot worse.
Yeah,
like you didn't improve.
Exactly. So I just feel like maybe this bet is not very good.
It's crazy how like hands and dynamics change so much in 4-bet pots against pros, like good players. You know, like it's just players are just playing so differently.
Yeah, I think like it's maybe just not that good of a bet. Like maybe it should just be checked back, and then he should just like if you check the river, like checks back, river is like let's say like a black 9 or 8 or 7 or 6 or whatever. Like I would and you check again. If I was him, I would always value bet.
Right,
you know?
Or if I bet, you're probably going to call.
Always
I
call.
could have ace king.
Yeah, always.
Like I have the same hand.
At the same time, I don't know how much action he gets from. I mean, his sizing is good though. Like he bets 6K, so he bet 1/3. So like he's giving you a chance to stay in there with like weaker hands.
Right, or he's giving me a chance to like rip it if I somehow had like king high diamonds or something.
Or
like
like
that.
king queen of hearts, king 10 hearts,
king 10 of hearts, or
like those hands make reasonable sense as like rips here.
Right.
That being said, I feel like his bet is effective versus such a small portion of hands that you
and
might
it's ineffective
have,
against all my stronger hands.
which is a majority of the hands
Right.
you have when you 4-bet out of position.
And then you bet call the flop.
Right. So I feel like maybe
It's so weird
just not
how
that
ranges
good.
change so much.
So like even though he has like a really strong hand, and like I think in his shoes I would always get stacked. I think the way he got stacked maybe wasn't the best.
Yeah, and that plays a big role in it too.
I also don't know. Maybe that's just where we're splitting hairs.
Right.
At the end of the day, it's ace king versus jacks in a 4-bet pot.
Yeah.
On ace jack x.
Yeah,
Like,
that's true. In some ways, it's a cooler, and in other ways,
yeah. Like I don't think he could ever get away from it. I just think the way the money could have went in could have been different.
Could have been better for him to maximize value overall.
Yeah.
That's fair.
That's
yeah,
right.
it makes, and also maybe for me, like you mentioned on the flop, maybe I would have maximized more value by raising back instead of just calling.
Yeah.
So it really does, it ran out this way.
I mean, if you saw his hand on the turn, would you expect him to check or bet?
I mean, I think in the flow of the game in the moment, you're thinking like, oh, ace king is a bet here. But like now that we kind of have the calm collection of being here and
maybe it's
analyzing it in post stream, it's so much easier to see the clarity of like, well, maybe ace king shouldn't bet here, and it's actually better as a bluff catcher on the turn. But in his spot in the moment, I remember thinking the hand, I'm just thinking like, oh, that sucks. He had ace king, he had to bet the turn, and then obviously you're stuck bet calling the turn, which is kind of the risk of betting. But now that we're kind of sitting here talking about it, and you make those points, it's like, you know, maybe ace king would have checked here, and that maybe that would have been a better spot overall. Yeah. Back over to me, I think I have a pretty clear jam. Like, if he has draws, I don't want to let those draws realize their equity for free. And especially if those draws are not bluffing the river, those draws are playing perfectly if I just call here. So if I just call the turn and he has like a jack X of diamonds or king X of hearts, like king 10 of hearts that was bluff raising the flop, or king queen of diamonds or king 10 of diamonds or whatever, like I'm letting that hand see the river for free, and then that hand's gonna play perfectly against me in position. I also don't want ace king or like two pair to like get counterfeited, or a terrible scare card to come like the queen of diamonds and then ace king just checks. So I think I have a very clear shove here. Like you said, I'm probably gonna be shoving with some other draws like king queen of hearts, king 10 of hearts, or something like that. And I think if he is value betting the turn, he's never value betting and then folding. Like, yes, he might be up against 3 aces or 3 jacks, but like if he found a way to get to this turn as for value, like you have to call it. Like, you already made your decision, like you said, on the flop. Like, you have to call it off. So I rip it in. Let's go.
Well, he's dead.
we
And there's the all-in from Torelli. There's the snap call. Brown baller is drawing dead.
And that happened to me. Obviously, it's happened to all of us many times where, like, you get it.
Like on that first river, he's always stacked.
He's dead, right?
5.
Right.
Yeah. Like always stacked.
But the second river, a queen of diamonds, like, he might check behind.
Yeah.
Nothing like getting it out all in, drawing dead.
That's why I don't want to.
Yeah, that's why you have to jam the turn.
That's why you have to jam the turn, for sure.
You can run that river 14 million times. Makes no difference. There is no card on the river that can save brown
No
baller.
bounty.
Yeah, let me keep.
I'll take it. I'll take it. All right.
Damn it.
All right, Lawrence back. Thank you.
All right, so now we're moving on to hands that you and I actually played against each other. It's cool because I selected these hands. There was a bunch of interesting hands from this stream, but I selected these two because I thought they were some of the most interesting. And then last minute, it turns out you're here with me today. So it's like really serendipitous timing that I could actually hear your thoughts in the hand. And then instead of like analyzing what I think you're thinking, you'll just tell me. So this will be super interesting and then hopefully insightful for you guys at home to see kind of like how we're both thinking about each other's spots here. So let's run the hand, see what happens.
I'm playing 25, 50, 100 of the $100 big blind ante. Torelli raising it up with 10s.
You didn't have to panic.
3 ways.
It was over here.
Wait, actually here. Check. You check. 400.
Nice, I think.
Fold.
2 large.
Okay, so they paused it after I bet the flop. So pre-flop, pretty standard. I raise, you call, brown baller calls. It's like pretty standard spot pre-flop here. I guess you could have re-raised because we're playing win the button, and like maybe re-raising would be good to win the button. But calling's obviously fine. Seems pretty standard. On the flop, pot is 1100. I just bet 400 just because like the board is very dry, and like on dry boards, most people are betting most of the time. And so I think betting smaller is like usually pretty good because a lot of times you're going to be betting with air. And like just overall, you're giving yourself a very good price on whatever money you're risking to win that pot. So if I bet 400 into 1200 or 1100, that bet doesn't have to work that often. And because this board is a board where like, you know, your opponents either have a 10 or they have a 4, or like they're not going to be calling you, maybe with ace high, but like there's not many hands that can call this board, no matter how you kind of cut the cards. You don't really need to risk that much money on these boards. So with 10s full specifically too, like, you know, there's not many hands I get action from. I have all the 10s. So I think betting small here is also good with my specific hand, but it's more of a play I would make with all the types of hands I have. They paused it on you, so I don't think they know what your action is.
Yeah, so I think my action here can be call, raise, or fold. Fold because I have jack high. Call because...
And out of position.
Yeah, call,
right.
Call because we're deep and I have a lot of back doors that are good.
Yep.
And then I think raise, which is the more interesting play because I think that I have like a lot more fours than you, even though I'm in the small blind. Like
with your playing style, for sure.
Yeah, and
like you're calling with a lot of...
Yeah, it's known that I'll have a 4 here.
Exactly. You can rep that more than me.
So I feel like raising here, I can represent a 4. I can represent a 10 that I want to protect. So like I would raise some 10s here.
Yep.
I would, not always, but like I fast play good hands a lot. So like I need a...
Well, it makes a lot of sense to raise a 4 here because if I have a 10 or jacks or queens or kings... Like,
and so I just think this... And my hand is pretty good too in terms of like blockers and backdoors. So like I block jack 10 and 10-9 suited. It's kind of nice. And then like I have backdoor clubs and backdoor straight. So like I have a lot of turn cards that give me like a lot of equity versus like aces or just like king 10, ace 10s, hands like that.
Yeah, like if a queen comes...
Or like if you're betting 7s here, like I can just put you in hell by like, the turn. So I think like my hand plays pretty good as a raise here. And I also think like people don't really bluff raise here because there's not a lot of like intuitive bluff raises. So I think jack 9 here, like with a combo that blocks the jack 10, 9, 10 suited is like a pretty nice one to do it with.
And with 2 back doors.
So like that's kind of what I was thinking. And we're super deep, so I can just have the ability to put a lot of pressure on you here.
Yep.
So that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yep. All right, let's run it. Oh, okay, so they pause it after you raised to 2K. So you talked about your raise. I think that's totally fine. And I think it's good to bluff in spots that are non-intuitive. So that makes a lot of sense. My hand plays very well as a call. Like basically...
You're in position.
I'm in position.
Great. You have the nuts. Like, you have nothing to be scared of.
Right, exactly. And and mainly, like, if you have a 4, you're going to keep betting anyway.
Yeah,
so
you're
like,
scared of me having a 1-outer.
Right, I win the same amount versus your 4s, but mainly calling just keeps bluffs in the pot and allows you to potentially catch up if you have like jack 9 and you backdoor something. So I just call and we take a turn.
Small bet here from Torelli, inducing airball to raise. And as you can see, airball drawing dead as Torelli has flopped the world. 10's full, airball in full punt mode. Takes the bait, check raises the flop, and now bets 8,400. Pretty easy call if you're Torelli.
Okay, so they paused on the turn. So maybe you're out of position, you bet first. Yeah. Talk about your decision here.
So, I mean, I think usually the cards I'd want to barrel on, like, give me equity. So, like, clubs, 7, 8, queen, king, or a jack for value, and then the 9, I might also bet to consider bluffing the river. But either way, so like basically on any card that gives me equity, I usually want to bluff. Here, I think the ace is like pretty interesting though, because when you bet call the flop, I don't think you have a lot of aces in your hand.
Yeah.
So you could have like ace 4 and ace 10, but other than that, like I don't think you have ace king, ace queen, ace jack, ace 9. Like, I don't think you're floating me on the flop with an ace. Just because like I don't think there's that much point in doing that, since I'm gonna like make you fold it unless you improve, like always.
Right.
And, like,
exactly.
I think you know that. So I basically don't think you have an ace here. I could definitely have like an ace here. Like I would check raise some like ace 2, ace 3, ace 5, like stuff like that.
Or even ace jack of clubs.
Yeah, like I think like I could.
Makes sense. For you to bluff the ace on the flop more than me to call.
Yeah, so when the ace comes, like basically what I'm thinking is like you could have aces, you could have 10s, but like majority of the time you're gonna have like kings, queens, or a 10.
Or 10x.
Yeah, or a 10, yeah. So like all those hands, like kings, queens, and a 10 are gonna hate the ace, and so I'm just gonna like put a lot of pressure here. So I think like in this spot, like if I had a 4 and I was going for value, I'd go big.
Right.
Especially because backdoor hearts. Also similarly, if I had like queen jack of hearts here, I would be fucking bombing it.
Yeah, perfect hand to bomb.
So I think like maybe jack 9 is a little out of line here, just because like my hand has no equity. But I also think the card is very good to bluff on.
Yeah,
so
it's like the perfect spot.
Right. So like I kind of felt like my hand was irrelevant now. So I go for a big turn bet here, 8,400.
Yeah.
Kind of just trying to like I'm expecting here that you'll fold like most of your under pairs to the 10.
Right,
then,
8s or 7s you gotta pitch.
And then I think you'll continue with kings, queens, and jacks.
Or like 10x of hearts.
And then maybe, then your 10s with our 10x of hearts. I think like other 10s might just like fold because
like 10,
it's
9.
like pretty brutal because I'm gonna bet all the rivers.
Yeah, exactly.
Like even though your kicker is now an ace, like I think it's like you might be calling for a chop a lot with the 10. Like
right.
I might also just try to get you off
Or you might
a chop.
be dead if you have an ace, like not dead, but like drawing to 2 outs if you have an ace now.
And I can also just have a 4.
Right, and of course you're like the most likely player to have a 4 at the whole table. So
I go for a big bet.
Yeah, and obviously it looks like, you know, to the like if someone's watching at home, they're like, oh, you're betting into the nuts. That's dumb. But like when you analyze the hand, like your bet here on this texture is like very well thought out. It makes a lot of sense. And like, yes, you ran into 10s full, which is the nuts. But like you said, if I have 10-9, I'm going to play it the same way. But now I'm going to be folding the turn. In my spot, again, like my strategy on the turn is very similar to my strategy on the flop. It's like, hey, if he has a 4, great. Like if the river comes pretty much anything other than like an ace or a 10, like you're going to bet the river again with a 4. So like I don't need to raise to protect against anything. And most importantly, like
even a 10 or ace or a 4, I'd bet.
Right. Yeah, like even an ace you're going to bet with a 4 because you're putting me on kings.
A 10 I would bet and just think you probably have kings more than queens.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and then if I jam you fold. But
yeah,
like right, so I don't really lose much value by calling here with 10s, but most importantly against especially a capable player that could be bluffing, like you want to keep those bluffs in the hand because especially if they're bluffing with, I didn't put you on Jack 9, but I thought if you are bluffing, a lot of your bluffs contain gut shots or hearts. Like Queen Jack of clubs might bet this turn, Queen Jack of spades, and then all your hearts are going to bet the turn. So I'm like calling, thinking, hey, he's maybe bluffing, you know, but praying for a heart so that I can maybe double up or something like that. So I think calling here is pretty standard in my spot, and I call, let's take a river.
Blank check asking if it's at a 1 hour delay or 1.5 hours. Probably about an hour, blank. There's a call. Pot's got 21-8 in there. Does Airball fire one more? If he does, it's going to be large. We know that. I've just gotten word the delay today is 1 hour, Ben. Oh, it looks like he's going to unload.
25 large.
Torelli's small bet on the flop has induced all of this. Airball check raises the flop, bets turn, and then bombs river.
All right, so they paused on you after your river bet.
Yeah, I mean,
you gotta like it a little bit less when I call the turn because some of those hands are full.
I think in hindsight it's probably pretty bad because of my turn size. Like I think if I go like 3/4 or 2/3 or pot on the turn and then go over pot on the river, it's fine. But like in hindsight, thinking about the hand, I think like I bet a lot on the turn. I bet like 1.7 pots on the turn. I bet 84 into 5. So like that's like a pretty big turn bet, and so I don't know if like this might be a little punty now. I feel like given that, but what I know in the moment what I was thinking was you're gonna call with kings, queens, jacks to the turn and fold to this river
and a 10x of hearts.
Yeah, and
like king 10 of hearts, 10 9 of
I
hearts.
could take a small size to get you off 10x of hearts here, but I didn't think a small size would work for kings, queens, and jacks.
Right, that makes sense.
So that's why I went for a big size here, and then. But I don't know. In hindsight, it just I regretted this hand only because I felt like the turn bet should have given me maybe enough information to make a decision. At the same time, like what you said,
if you had a 4 here, you're still going to fire.
Right.
Like you got to think about that too.
It's close. It feels shittier. I think it's never bad to bluff in these spots because like if you just look at the flop, I check raise bet. Like it's hard to have a bluff. So I think that's fine, and my hand is piece of shit, can't win, so that's fine.
Yeah, anytime you wind up on the river with like no equity, like those are those spots to bluff. Like if you wind up on the river with no showdown value and you can't win the pot any other way, like
in that sense, I think it's shitty. I think it's like it only feels shitty though, mostly because I just ran into 10s. I think if I had ran if I just fold jacks here, you feel like a rock star, or queens, or
like maybe,
if you have like I don't know, like if you somehow have like ace king, I don't even feel that bad. You know what I mean? Like if you bet called the flop with ace king, and I'm like, okay, I made the wrong assumption. Like you are gonna bet call some ace highs. Like,
Right.
That's fine. I don't mind. But like it just like feels annoying when you run into tens and you're like, that was just like 3 streets of punting.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
totally.
Like it was like there was no chance of winning the hand.
There was
here.
zero
Yeah.
chance I was ever folding
Like,
at any point.
there-
Yeah,
if,
of course.
like if you I lose the other hands, I don't feel as bad because you're like I had a chance. But here you're just like, I could have gone jack jack. Like that was my or 4-4. Like that was the only chance I had. You know. Like so I don't know. I think it's I think sometimes on the river like you have to give up. I don't think this is a give up spot, so I don't feel that bad about it.
I definitely don't blame you here.
but I
like-
also think it seems pretty punty. When
It's
you,
one of
when you
those
have
spots
tens.
too where like the more like one kind of principle is like the bigger you're betting in a certain spot, the fewer hands your opponent's calling with. So like to your point, the bigger you bet on the turn,
Yeah.
the more dicey the river becomes because you're like, you know, I'm only calling with some better hands. But at the same time, no showdown value. I definitely can't blame you for bluffing here, and it's a spot that's under bluffed, and you would 100% play a 4 this way.
Yeah.
So that's a very fair point for bluffing. I guess your decision, frankly, is more interesting than mine. I mean, obviously, you know, I have the nuts here, so my spot is basically to jam. I only lose to quads, and so if you have quads, I just ship the money in. It would have been interesting if you had like, and you obviously don't have to say what you would have done, but like it would have been really interesting to me if you didn't insta-fold, because then I would have known you would have had a 4. I mean, we would have saw it in hindsight, but like when you insta-fold, I know you're bluffing. But like if you had 4-5, totally fair way to play the value. But when I jam the river here, now you're 4-5. You're not loving your hand. Obviously, you don't have to say what you would have done. But anyway, I end up.
I mean, it's just like it's hard to say because like
you can't
now
say.
I see your hand. Like,
Right, exactly.
I'm biased. I don't know what I would have done in the moment. Like
I feel like in these spots too, like even if you talk about the strategy, what you do in the moment is always only what you do in the moment.
right,
And there's-
because as I said, like with the Shaun hand, like there's a lot more to it, like the game flow and how you're feeling and if you're stuck or winning at the moment.
your read or
Like,
whatever.
yeah, there's just like a lot more to it. So like I don't know what I would have done with the 4. It would have sucked.
I was hoping you would have at least tanked, because then I would have had a sweat that you could have called my all.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to snap fold a 4.
Right, exactly. There's, I mean, yeah, of course.
So I mean, I definitely would have gone to the tank.
Right.
Obviously,
With Jack High,
yeah.
there's not much to the rest of the
There was-
hand. So anyway,
I'm not a big believer in saving face.
yeah, and you know everyone's good to see it anyway.
yeah, so snap
But-
muck. Let's move on to the next
Let's move
one.
on to the next one. Yeah, this is interesting. Thanks for sharing. All right.
What's the next one?
Yeah, let's go. I mean, yeah, you can play the results, but.
I forgot these names.
All in.
All you can eat.
And there's the
No,
all
but I'm
in and snap fold.
Tens, huh?
And Torelli now up heaps. An airball, basically, I want to say he's even or down.
Thank you. You're
Hold
welcome.
it to here, which is like
Thank you.
No worries, but it's close.
Just tell
I
me
tried.
Yep. Yeah. All right, guys, we're moving on. We got another
look like you're ready to
round
go
2 matchup.
You look like you're ready to go
Yours
snowboard.
truly versus Airball. We actually were playing a win the
I
button
mean, he
game,
is a
so we
snowboarding
switched
instructor. I mean, it only
seats
makes
because
sense,
all the
right?
players had to redraw, because if you're in the bad seat in a win the button game, like if you're to Airball's left, it sucks because you play the most hands, win the most
Airball
hands,
calling the
and
raise
you get
from
punished.
Torelli.
So we switched seats. We're in the same session though. Later in the session, and following hand takes place.
It's completely true.
Bottom set for airball. A gut shot, backdoor diamonds for Torelli.
What's your favorite mountain range? Where do you like to snowboard?
Okay, so I open pre-flop. You call, whatever, heads up to the flop. Not so exciting. Flop comes down. You check. I'm in position. I'm thinking like, okay, I have a gut shot, a backdoor flush draw, king high. Like I'm the aggressor in the hand. If you missed with like Jack 10, whatever, you're just gonna fold. So I kind of want to just win the pot. I come out firing 600. It really sucks to get raised here when you make it 3K. So for that reason, like I guess checking back some of the time with this hand might make some sense, but at the same time, I think you kind of cross that bridge when you come to it. If you do get raised, I'm hoping like an ace high hand type hand folds, which I think we probably fold some ace highs here because it's a really shitty board for like ace 10. You just have no like anything going on, and I could have hit this board. So I was just betting like as a raiser, as a C better. On you make it 3K. What are your thoughts?
Good board for me.
I play a lot of junk. It's a junky flop.
It's an airball type of flop.
I'm gonna raise here as a bluff a shitload, even though it's not flush draw board. Like I'll raise. I have plenty of bluffs.
Gut shots or
whatever. A million different hands.
Queen 6 suited or something.
Yeah, like
whatever.
Like, I might just raise every single gut shot, every single straight draw. So I'm gonna raise my value hands. Bottom set, best value hand you can have on any flop. I raise. I think it's pretty normal.
And
I just get value. Like
exactly. And it's
deep.
like with your, I think like depending on who your opponent is, sometimes when people raise this board, it's like very scary and threatening. When you raise this board, you know, we both kind of know like you are playing a lot more cards that are low, and you also are going to raise this flop aggressively because you know that that's your kind of wheelhouse.
Yeah, I mean,
and so I'm not thinking like
the dynamic with thinking players is always like what you know the other person knows.
Exactly.
So like I mean like I know that you opened under the gun, should be tighter. You know that I know that.
Right.
So like
I know you're going to be attacking this board because even if I have jacks here, like I'm kind of on defense facing a race. Like I'm scared.
You don't want to have to put in 90,000.
Right. Like you're not scared with jacks, but you're not like loving this spot. You're on defense. However you want to look at it, you're on defense.
So I mean, that's what.
So it's a good spot for you to raise. Obviously, you have the perfect hand to do it with. You have bottom set, which is great.
I mean, I think one thing a lot of people do is like when they have good hands, they like slow play because they're scared to lose value. Like they're scared to lose their opponent. Like like they have a lot of them said like let me check call and like check.
Keep him in the pot. Like rein him in.
Yeah, like I don't really like that's not how I play poker. Because,
right, but you also
like,
raise with bluffs.
I do so much like punting. Like in the last hand that like when I have good hands, I'm just like I'm gonna put money in the pot. And like,
this is a perfect example of like last hand you had Jack 9, but this hand you have a set, but you play them both the same way, which makes you very tricky.
So I played them both like as check raises on like flops that I thought were good for me.
Right, exactly. You're more playing the situation. A little bit your hand too, obviously, but like playing the situation. And so I know that, of course, on this board, I think, you know, some of my hands are going to fold here. Like if I have ace queen, I'm just going to fold. But like my hand is actually a kind of pretty good hand to call with because I have a gut shot, which is better than having ace high. So I have king high, but it's ironically better than ace high. But also like I have a backdoor flush draw, which is really nice too because there's a lot more turns I can call. And also I think it's one of those spots where like if I do hit my hand, like it's really hard for you to put me on it because I'm under the gun. You know I'm under the gun. And you know that a 4 is not a card that I would typically play, and rightly so. I don't have many 4s. I have maybe king 4 some of the time, ace 4, and like pocket 4s. Like I just don't have that many 4s. So we're very deep. If we had like 10K here, maybe I just have a case for folding or like maybe jamming some of the time. But this deep, I like a call. I'm also in position, which allows me, you know, to continue to navigate the hand. So let's keep going.
You look like you're ready to go.
$600 bet, $3,000 raise. Torelli's going to call. $7,000 in the pot already. Oh, man. Look at that turn card. Torelli. He raised under the gun. He's got the straight. Airball doesn't put him on a 4 here.
All right, so the turn comes down. It's on you. What are you thinking on this turn?
Yes, I mean, once you bet, call the flop.
Right.
I'm assuming that you know you have an overpair like majority of the time.
That's the majority of what I have.
Going to the turn, I'm just praying for a non-straightening card because I don't want to scare you away.
Right, you want a deuce to come.
Yeah, so the 6 I hated, but not because I was worried about being behind. I now felt like you would be worried with aces that I just have a 4.
Right, or you have like 8, 9.
Yeah, so like on a deuce or a 9 or like a 10 through an ace, I might go double pot or I might attempt to really like put in a big bet here. But when the turn is kind of a card that's like just way too good for me, I think betting big is just like not that valuable.
Right.
Like I would if I was bluffing here, I'd bet small, and so when I'm value betting, I'm gonna bet smaller here.
Yep.
So I bet 5 into 7. I still want to bet like a bigger size because I'm trying to build a pot with a good hand, and I think like I still just have like way too many bluffs. Like on this turn, I still have like if I had like 8-7, 8-5, 8-3, 8 like all these hands, which if they're suited, I like just could peel them. Like I would.
Or 8-6 is gonna bet again. 8-6
just
is
go
a great
for
bluff.
it. Like
9-6 is a great
if
bluff.
I had ace 8 suited, king 8 suited, and I check raise the flop with back doors, like I would just always blast off here.
Yeah,
so
this
like
is a perfect blast for you.
So there's plenty of bluffs here. So I'm gonna go for like a medium size. So I go 5K into
7,
and I think you never have a 4 basically, unless you happen to have 4s or ace 4. But I'm just
in the moment, I was 0% worried about
Right.
Like I was confident I had the nuts.
Yeah, for sure. And like I didn't raise you back on the flop, so you're not putting me on like top set.
Yeah.
And
I'm just not worried at all.
right, and like because I'm under the gun, and so that changes so much of the dynamic.
I'm just worried that you're going to be scared of the 6.
Exactly. That's
really
why
what
in a way it's a bad card for you, not because I have a 4, but because you're missing value from like jacks.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And your bet size makes total sense given that narrative. On to me, I think I can tell you what I was thinking at the time. I was thinking at the time like, most of the hands I have are the hands that you identified that I have. So like I know, that most of my hands are overpairs, and I know that you know that. So like if I have jacks here, queens here, kings here, 9s, 10s, aces, those hands are not raising this turn. Like they're never, ever raising. They're always calling. So I'm thinking like less about how I want to play this particular hand and more about how I want to play my whole range of hands. Because also if you're bluffing and I have aces, like I'm calling the turn, and then if you bomb the river, like I might have to fold now. So I want to keep, in the same way that I wanted to keep all the bluffs in the pot in the last hand, I still want to keep all those bluffs in the pot this hand. But now I have a great hand. Like I have like the perfect hand to call the turn with, and then no matter what happens on the river, well, we'll see about that. But like I'm thinking in my end, like keep all his bluffs in the pot and call down the turn, and then hopefully he piles in 30K, 20K, 15K, 50, whatever on the river, because I actually have a hand that could call, whereas most of the hands I have are going to fold. In retrospect, like now that I can see your cards, I wish I fucking raised the turn, because
you just get stacked.
Well, if the board pairs, but I actually force you to like draw and pay money. So if I knew you had a set 100% of the time and you showed me your set, or I could see, I'm gonna make it 15K or maybe even 20K because I need protection. But a lot of the time, like I thought, you might have like ace-8 or king-8 or 8-6. I'm like, yeah, I need protection, but like you're drawing pretty slim, and all those hands are going to bluff me on the river. So that was my thought. I was protecting all the types of value hands I have that are very, very, very vulnerable to your range and your aggression here on this spot. And I opt to call. Let's take a river. Things get interesting. At least for one of us.
How long is it from here? 7 hours? 5?
Torelli makes the call. Can the board pair for Airball? It can. $17,000 in the pot. Airball's got the full house. Torelli's got the straight.
Never snowball. Maybe you can teach me.
We can go together.
Torelli's had a great night up till now. Airball has made some hands tonight. We know he's capable of bluffing, but he has made a lot of big hands tonight.
34.
And Airball goes 2x pot.
All right, so the board pair's now on the river. It's on you. Pot is, 17K before you bet. We're pretty deep here. I have about 80K, so, what are you thinking here on this board pairs?
Yeah, I mean, I think I definitely have the nuts still.
Right.
Because I thought I had the nuts on the turn.
But you don't think the river changes your nuts, because you don't put me on a 4.
So on the river, what I was thinking was, it's a good card for your overpairs, because if I had 7-3 suited, 7-6 suited, or 6-3 suited.
Or 8-6.
Yeah, all those. Well, I mean, just like
8-6 is a bluff, but right.
But I mean, like all my 2 pairs that were valued, like bluffs on the flop, or 2 pairs on the flop that were turning into
7-6.
Yeah, like I could have got counterfeit. So you
6-3, right.
So now you beat those hands. So like in that sense, it's good for you.
It's also less likely you have 5s because one more 5 is on the board, which means there's less 5s in your hand.
Yeah, it's just like a good river for me. I think like if I was gonna bluff here, I would put a lot of pressure on, like if I had,
you can't bet 10K here on a bluff.
Yeah.
It's too easy for my aces to call.
Any overpair can just call.
Any overpair
so
can
I think
call.
like when I'm bluffing, I'm gonna go massive. 2x pot seems like a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
So when I have it, I'm gonna go 2x pot.
Fair.
It's like one of those things where it's like, it's the same thing as before, like what we were saying, like it's easy to be like, I should bet 10K here just so you pay me. But like,
but it's not a good bet overall long term. And we play against each other so often that like.
So for how I play, it's important that like, when I have hands, like I put a lot of money in just so that people don't assume that like my big bets are always one thing.
Right.
And so just like with the Jack 9 thing, like if I showed up on this river with Queen 8 suited,
King 8 of diamonds.
Yeah, I would.
Or 8-6.
I would put an absurd bet. And so when I showed up here with a boat, thank God, I'm gonna put in an absurd bet. And so that's what I did. And I expected you to go into like a pretty long tank with aces or kings. Like
or jacks or queens.
I mean,
it's all the same. Aces, kings, queens, jacks, tens are all the same hand relative to the hands that you have. So it doesn't
when
really
I say
matter.
aces, I just mean like a big pair.
All your over pairs.
I just expected you to go into a sick tank here and be miserable. I thought like maybe like Jackson worst, you might just say like, well, this is Jackson worst, so I'll let go and like I'll only make a tough decision with aces.
I actually rather, like from my point of view, I'd rather have eights or like maybe than aces, because at least like maybe you have less 8-9. But then the problem with eights is that you have less like
you have to
6,
figure out. Yeah, so what am I bluffing with?
Right, exactly. So it's like it's weird. It's a weird dynamic.
But like
here.
I think like in my head, 99% of the time you had 98% of the time you had a overpair, and 1% you had a better boat, and 1% you had a straight.
Right.
That's kind of how I was breaking it. And so I was like just praying that you were gonna like find a call
with aces or kings or whatever I found a call with.
Yeah,
or like
a call.
Maybe I call with ace 7, which is like better because I block some boats. Like I don't even know, but I would have thought about it more if I had all of these types of other hands. But from my point of view, like my mind on the turn was like, hey, he's capable of bluffing. I beat all of his bluffs. I want to keep those bluffs in the pot. So I didn't love this river because if you did have some of those hands that you were like betting for value with, like 6-5 somehow, or 7-5, or like 3s or 7s or 5s, like now those hands beat me. So obviously my hand is more vulnerable on the river than it is on the turn. But at the same time, my mindset on the turn was kind of like, hey, if he's bluffing, I want to keep those bluffs in the pot. And so I'm in position. I force you to bluff the river because you're out of position. You basically have to bluff if you have like whatever your bluff is. And so my strategy on the turn was like call the turn, let him bluff the river, and then call the river. Yeah. Now, when you 2x pot this specific river, like it sucks a lot more for me, so I like my plan less, but at the same time, it's like I have such a good hand, and you never put me on a 4.
Well, and if I had a 4, I would do this. If I had ace 5.
Right, I was thinking we might be chopping. Yeah. Like the hand that you said with Shaun with ace king. Like
I could just be value betting a 5. Like if I somehow showed up here with 8-5, which is not unreasonable, I don't think. Like check raising the flop with the 5 for protection versus overcards is not unreasonable. Right. Like I would do that sometimes. Like and then like on the turn I might decide like, oh, my 5's not good, but this board is so good for me, I'm gonna go for it, right? Like let's just say like I had a random 5, like king 5 suited.
Yeah, or 8-5.
Yeah, and like on the flop I'm just like, well, I'm gonna check raise them to protect my hand versus like overcards, right? So that's normal. And the turn comes to 6 of clubs, like that's just like the juice card for like getting
you to get me to fold jacks.
An overpair, right?
So like now you turn your hand into a bluff.
So now my 5's a bluff, so I'm gonna go for it, right? I bet the turn, and then I back into trips, and now I'm like, oh, I hope he has an overpair.
Right.
I value.
So
you can't like.
And if you have a 4, we chop.
Yeah, you have to call. It just sucks when you lose.
Yeah, it just sucks when I lose. And I want and it's one of those spots where like I don't know, based on what you said, I think that we probably feel the same way. Like you feel like it sucks so much betting into 10s, and I feel like, oh wow, this spot sucks so much because I'm calling into trips. I mean into a boat. But like if I would have folded against you, and I know that if you would have been bluffing against me, like we would have both felt a lot better about the hand. Yeah. So I think one of the spots in these situations that's like important to remember is it's like you got to separate your process from the results, and sometimes the results don't go your way because you don't know. You're putting people on, a grouping of hands. You're not putting them on one specific hand. And so sometimes you're going to make the right decision. You're going to have the right process, and it's not going to work in your favor. And that's why poker is a beautiful game. And so my spot on, like I was thinking all the same things we kind of talked about here on this river, and I was just like, okay, if I'm folding a 4, I'm just like getting crushed here on this river. I'm never calling you, and like you could just bluff me 100% of the time, and I would always be folding, and you would always be printing. So I kind of have to call with a 4 here.
Yeah. It just sucks.
It just sucks. Well, it's good for you.
It sucks when you lose.
It sucks when you lose.
Feels amazing when you win.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there are spots like that. Like last week, I opened 7-4 suited under the gun. Mariano calls the button. Mike X. So I open 300. Mariano calls the button. Mike X makes it 1,000 in the small blind.
Right.
Comes back to me, and I'm like, he can never have a good hand. Such a small raise. So I 4-bet, and I just like go bet. On like queen 6-3, so I flipped a gut shot, turn jack, river jack.
Okay.
And like I went like bet, overbet, or something. Like I think I bet like 45 into 30 on the river. It wasn't a jam. He had like infinite, and he had ace queen. So like he calls me down, obviously, right?
Right.
And that was one of those hands where I was like, well, I just made an assumption that he couldn't have ace queen when he made it 1,000 from the small blind, but he did.
And
so
even
like
ace queen there, like maybe folds sometimes because you could have kings or
like he just snapped.
not.
I don't think so.
Right,
But
yeah.
like I just mean like
Not against
I didn't
you.
feel bad about the hand because I was like I had a specific thought in mind and like one of my assumptions was wrong and I was like that's fine. Like I think like if my assumptions are right, my play is fine.
Right.
Now given that my assumptions are wrong, I think my play is pretty terrible. But like I
You
don't know
upgrade that over time.
Yeah, that's
and like
fine.
that's
Like,
part of iterating in poker.
that's
is,
just like you're making a guess on what your opponent will do, and like sometimes you just like you have the wrong assumption.
Right.
That's part of life.
That's part of life. But like I think what's important is being able to execute on your assumptions and not have fear like overtake. You know, hey, I'm paralyzed because I have this assumption, but I'm so scared about 4-betting pre because I have to go bet, and then unload the tank. And like a lot of people, what makes you really tough and really good, in my opinion, is like you're willing to put your money where your assumptions are, even if it's going to cost you like a buy-in or a stack or 100K or however you want to look at it. Whereas a lot of players might be like, oh, I knew he had this there, but it's like, okay, well, did you follow through? And it's like they were scared.
Yeah. I like to play.
Yeah, that's what makes you very tough to play against. So you like to play. Anyway, on this river, I'm in for it. Let's see what happens. All right.
Now we do Q&A.
There's the call.
We got a few minute break.
Oh, cool.
And the slow roll.
So we're off.
Hold on.
Yikes.
Nice hand.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's not enough.
So you put the lineup up? I put it in, you gave it back.
Try that way. It's 34.
Okay, good. Go ahead. That's what I. Wait, I put in third. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought I put that in. So what is this?
5 more. 5 more.
Okay. Yep.
$85,000 pot, airball with the slow roll at the end of it. Wins a monster.
All right. That's it for the strategy section. Thanks for joining me. This was awesome. We got our game coming up right after this, so stay tuned. All right, so we have Mike X, myself, Henry, Brown Bala, you, Mariano, Sky, Foray. Right. Foray is playing instead of Sky, and then Art. Is that it? Yes. So we're not doing win the button today. We're doing the normal 25, 50, 100, 100. We got a tough lineup. What do you think?
I think it'll be fun.
It'll be fun. It's always fun. Good table talk, fun crew, usual suspects.
Battling.
Yeah, a lot of battling. I think that's going to be an interesting dynamic in today's game is like who wants it more, who's putting pressure, who's, seat draws are obviously important too in this sort of lineup.
Yeah.
That changes the strategy a lot. Like depending on what hands you can play, how much you can open, who's 3-betting you. So it'll be very fun. Stay tuned, guys. We got a game coming up right here on The Hustler.
Chat pro, slow roll, never fold. Raise it up. Chat pro, slow roll, never fold. Raise it up. Chat pro, slow roll, never fold. Slow roll, never fold. Slow roll, never fold. Raise it up. Raise it up. Chat pro. Raise it up. Chat pro. Raise it up. Chat pro. Slow roll. Never fold. Raise it up. Chat pro. Slow roll. Never fold. Raise it up. Chat pro. Slow roll. Never fold. Slow Raise it up. Raise it up. Chat Pro.